Well, I'll tell you what it's not time for. Reenacting SA scenarios on children in a point of view format. I hope you're ready, because this is going to be a rough one. Mama Owl is a POV TikToker who reenacts some of the weirdest scenarios you can imagine, such as essay on a trans child, cliffhangering teenage sexual interactions, and even intruders invading American high schools. Honestly, I don't know where to start. So hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Jake Baz, and today we're covering Mama Owl, and I don't understand why she's still on the TikTok platform. She's a TikToker and a teacher who got into massive controversy some time ago, and since then, I don't think she's changed one bit. All these dramas and problems have come from her doing point of view, POV TikToks, where she will pretend to reenact scenarios in some form of like terrible drama. In some weird way, kind of processing trauma, but processing trauma of other people, because the majority of what she does is from other people's stories. And to explain how she's still going now and what she's doing, I think it's important to look back on the big drama that really blew everything open. And really, it's why she got into this mess in the first place. Because it's not only the actual act of what she does in these POV TikToks, such as what I said with the SA problem, but also her brass-necked refusal to admit that she's done anything wrong by doing this. If you enjoy the vid, please do hit the like button and subscribe. I would love to see you back. Helps out the videos and the channel a lot, and I would love to see 50k sometime in the near future. Also, just a note with a trigger warning for this, as I've already alluded to in some of the stuff we're going to cover, it really does go into that. So topics like SA or harm to others do upset you, please do click off now. So she's been doing these POV TikToks for quite a few years now, and it's been going generally pretty well for her. She started getting quite a large following, but then it teetered over the edge when she posted this, which I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to show, because it is really weird. It's too weird, and as you can see, it's Mama Owl pretending to essay a child, and it's like a reenactment of a scenario that happened in real life to someone. You obviously do see this kind of stuff in films, but a POV TikToker, someone who's just doing it one-on-one with themselves, it really is weird, isn't it? When I first saw it, I could not believe it. I just thought, how has someone thought that this is something that's good and worth putting on the internet? And I'll just show you the intro so you kind of get a feel for it.
You're going to pay your penance now. It's too bad you're trans. I can't get the full effect. Please stop. You're making me... I'll take the journey. Send me to the office. It's too late for that now.
Yeah, then proceeds to drop the pants down, and she screams. She even in this TikTok managed to put property at Math Manx, which is her actual TikTok. So is she wanting this to be shared? Is she expecting it to be shared? Like, it is just incredibly weird. Because it's not only that she's pretending to be a child in this scenario, which, I mean, come on, like, do you see what you're doing? As she's pretending to, you know, be this trauma victim who's actually gone through stuff as a child. And also, doesn't this seem a little bit more aimed at kids if you're trying to, you know, trauma dump in that sort of sense and explain a situation, reenact it? And also, not only is it a child, it's a trans child. And now I understand that her page is around, you know, getting through trauma and going through trauma to experience it from like a second-hand angle, but do you like look at it? Because I definitely think this, for anyone of all ages, shouldn't really want to be watching something like this. And also with the fact that this person, whoever she's got the story from, is trans, it felt like to me that she was trying to add on like another cultural issue, which is a problem in society, maybe for attention, or some other like cultural issue, because the fact that the child in this question was trans has nothing to do with it. It doesn't add to the story to mention that. It doesn't really make it any deeper. I understand that there are problems with trans people going through things like this, as there is problems with everyone, but you are recreating a trans child being exploited. Like, how did she never see that this could somewhat potentially be a problem? Mama Owl really did, over the times, talk about the injustices in school settings, which really does make a sense in that way, but also, like, the content that is being shown at you really shouldn't be shown. Also, by aiming it specifically at, like, school settings, do you not somewhat think that potentially this could be aiming a little bit at children, teenagers, that sort of thing? Well, Mama Owl doesn't doesn't think so at all. This happened just over a year ago, and since then there's only been more problems and troubles with Mama Owl, because instead of her just admitting like what she has done is so weird and she should not be doing stuff like that on TikTok on a platform. It's not like she's some award-winning Hollywood actor going through this. She's pretending to do it to herself in specific detail. But so she had all this backlash, and obviously everyone was outraged at it, and what she decided to do was initially just delete it, because if you delete it, there's no digital footprint, is there? Also, her comments ended up getting restricted because obviously what she was doing was very graphic in detail. It wasn't needed on the social media platform, was it? Despite the fact at the start she did put a trigger warning to it, it doesn't make any of what she did afterwards normal, right, anything like that. This then led Mama Owl to not only delete it but also restrict comments, because if people can't talk about it on your actual TikToks, they're not going to talk about it at all, are they? They're just going to forget about it. Obviously not, and the backlash just kept on coming, which led then Mama Owl to have to come out and actually respond to it. And the way that she responded to it will genuinely make your skin crawl, because she just pretends that there's no problem with anything. And not only that, she also said that she's getting cancelled. So, you know, she's bringing out that as well. A typical I don't have a clue what's going on sort of fashion. We then got this brilliant response which talks about boundaries.
I am long overdue for a boundary video. It's very clear. So here we go. My page is not a safe space for bigotry or any of the phobias or isms. If I catch it, you're blocked. My page is not for children. My page is not for children.
She said the first part of this because people were going on and being phobic and using isms. So, I mean, that does make sense for her to clarify it at least. But then, her page is not for children. She's admitted it in a boundaries video. So that means that every child is going to disappear. What do you expect, really, when you're doing stuff that is like predominantly like POV TikToks about school, which also this sort of age, like my sort of age, I've watched some of these and they're just cringe. I don't think anyone my age really is going to be interested in watching this sort of stuff, but maybe I'm wrong. So for her, after the fact, to be like, my page is not for children, so this sort of content is allowed, right, okay, still doesn't mean anything of what she did was right.
Can I control that 100%? Of course I can't, but there's a really big difference between kids who can keep their mouth shut and be invisible and kids who feel like they can come onto my page and say all kinds of inappropriate stuff. And a friend of mine on this app said it so well, and I'm going to use her words, I block like I blink. And children often do a really good job of telling on themselves. I know you think you're being cute or cool because it's trendy. You're just calling yourself out.
Why does she think by outwardly stating that she's just going and mass blocking people that that's going to fix all of the problems and the damages of what she's doing? If anything, in like these vicious hate circles, because she was getting heavily dogged on for doing this, if you're found to be mass blocking people, that shows that you're incapable of looking at the sort of stuff and the controversies around what you've actually done, and you just think you're right, so you're just going to block them and just out the way. And also, it invites people to create new accounts and double down on it, because that's what the internet's like now, and I don't understand why she doesn't understand that herself. And also, as you can see here, she's hitting all of the backlash around this to your children. Like, so what does that have to do with it? Are you attempting to say that you're trying to make sure to get rid of all the children on your platform, or are you trying to address the actual drama of what you've been in? Because none of them are mutually exclusive. There definitely can be haters who are children and also haters that are adults, because this stuff is just morally just like, what are you doing?
If you tag me in tag bait and I see that in my notifications, I'm going to block you. And I'm also going to block the entire page that is posting tag bait, because all that stuff is done by children. And my page, not for children. And jeez, I'm crow. No, literally, crow. Thing flew right past my window.
She's getting into YouTube apology territory here by just doing a random cross zoom away from something else. That really does address all of the problems that are going on. You're right, that crow.
So if you attempt to dox me and you catch me on the wrong day, I absolutely will go through the steps to press charges on you, because it's a federal crime. And your need to, I don't know, expose who I am, where I live, where I work, or anything else, it's not more important than the safety of myself and my family. And there have already been 3 attempts since June. My comments and live streams are heavily curated. I have filters on all of it. But children, you know, the people my page is not for, will always try to come up with a new way to dox me.
Once again, just belittling all of the hate that is coming towards her on children. Like, I can understand that a lot of people are trying to, for example, dox her, are going to be younger people because they're naive and stupid, to be honest. Obviously, shouldn't be doxing anyone. And also just, outwardly admitting that you're, like, hiding and filtering every single comment that you can on this situation. What a way to hit on the backlash, to say that you have tried to mute every single word that can relate to this current backlash and save your skin so you can't see as much of the problems that you've done. And I hope you can see where I'm getting at here, and that a lot of people ended up getting even worse from this because she was just saying that everything was to do with children. It's not my actions, it's your response to me just doing an adult thing on an adult content site, TikTok, the adult content site. Which, by the way, she said she couldn't do anything about having children on it. She could make it an 18 plus account. That is something that she definitely could do, but that would kill her entire income, so that's never going to happen.
And because of how quickly I press that block button, if you make a new account and you say something like, "Why did you block me?" or the one I got last night, "Do you remember when you blocked me for no reason and then sent your friends to harass me?" Nope. I don't remember you because I block like I blink, and anyone who's been on my page for any amount of time knows that I always tell everyone to not go hate on those people. If I call something out, I tell everyone don't hate on them. Recently, I responded to a comment, and apparently people just went and talked to them. I read several comments that weren't hateful or attacking or anything, but then I got another comment from that same page saying, "This is the mother of the 8-year-old you responded to." And both the original commenter and the mother told me to calm down. And I'm like, no 8-year-old should be on this platform at all.
And yeah, she's not wrong at all in that one scenario, but I think she's got some sort of like confirmation bias where she's had like 2 or 3 comments where she can tell that they're children. And then she did just say that she could tell if they are children that are like commenting on her stuff. And then she's just gone and said there that she has been responding to someone that then the mum came on the account and had a go. So how come you couldn't tell that one were a child? It's almost like you've just made up this idea that every single person that was hating you was a child. But keep blocking like you blink.
It's not my job to parent those children, but I don't want them on my page. Why? Because I'm all about advocating for your rights, but I'm also a big rule follower. And the terms and conditions of this app say that you must be 13 years old with parental supervision or 16 years old without it. You shouldn't be on this app.
Like, it's just so weird that she just keeps going on this rant about children. Like, the entire point of what she's done is that it's not really suitable to anyone of any age, really, because of what she's doing. If I was just sat there, on a night, just scrolling through my TikTok and pops up this, I would be horrified, yet alone someone who's actually experienced something that's like massively similar to what she's acting out there. So to go on a rant for like 5 minutes about how she's using the block button if she sees a child, like, it makes no point at all to what of anything that she's done.
But me offering my opinion or my perspective on an issue is not an invitation for disagreement and discourse on the subject. If I want feedback and input, if I want a lively debate, I will say that.
So what? She thinks that she's just above an idea of any form of criticism. And the reason that she's saying this is because she reenacts it in like this point of view thing. And then what she will do is she'll talk about the situation and then maybe give some like props or lessons that are learned from it, which can actually be quite good in some areas, just really not by reenacting it here. If you want to talk about these sort of topics, obviously I think go ahead. People should know more about these certain situations, when to spot them, how to process things like this, because it is unfortunately relatively normal for things like that to happen in public. And there's a lot of people that do cry out as well for that sort of mental healing and help. But what you can do, just a quick side note, you can do something called not do a point of view reenactment of it, especially when it's about children. And for them to be like, oh, well, I didn't ask for disagreement in any way, shape or form about my opinion. Well, why are you on the internet? The entire point of internet is your opinion. Like, you put your opinion out there. I think I want my opinion challenged. I hope that everyone does challenge everyone's opinion, because that's what makes you smarter. So by just knocking this off and just being like, oh, whatever, none of you should even respond to me. You don't even deserve to, because I don't want a conversation. Why are you doing it were you fans in the first place then? That's the big question that I don't think she's answered. Just siphoning off all your fans as well, because what? Should we take your word as gospel all the time, every single time? And she has a lot more stuff like this, which just really, it makes the head scratch.
So super long video, but in summation, toe out of line, you're blocked. If I know you're a kid, you're blocked. If you try to dox me, you're blocked. If you come on my page promoting phobias, isms, and bigotry, you're blocked. I'm not about the numbers here. I'm just not. I'm here to do my thing. If you can hang with that, cool. If you can't, just head out.
May I just add this mention of, it's not about the numbers. That's just a lie as well, innit? That's just a massive lie. Everyone on social media innately wants that bigger amount of attention and notoriety to what you're doing. If what you're doing, you don't want numbers, you make it an 18 plus thing and barely anyone sees your content. But though what Mama Owl's doing recently as well, especially, is she's doing a lot of like product reviews, a lot of TikTok product reviews. So how can you not be in it for the size and notoriety when you're also shotting off like brand placements? Because you're either in it for the money and the fame and the attention that it gets, or you're not in it for the fame, money and attention it gets. So if you don't want the money, you don't need to be going and doing product reviews, do you? And if you're not in it for the views, why do you do it so consistently when you could very easily like restrict your content to make it easier for people who are not of that age that should be watching your stuff to look at it? Obviously, this is all a calamity, and it got everyone's ears up because they saw this and were like, well, I cannot believe you'd even respond in that sort of manner. It's actually outrageous. And coincidentally, in what she did, she didn't make any form of apology for it. She didn't really, break down anything of what she said or what could potentially be perceived as wrong. She just thought that she was right. She doesn't want a discussion. And then everyone else who disagrees with that, I'm going to hit the block button. Wherever Mama Owl has gone, the controversy has always managed to somehow follow her. Realistically, not something that you want to be reminded of. And it also makes it easier to, tap that button and have a go. So what she did recently is she uploaded a video on her YouTube channel which explains the past controversies of what she's gone on and also some of the more recent ones of what she's been through. And if you can imagine the way that she has handled this situation previously, it's got to be good, innit?
That is what started all of the hate. That's it. I told a spammer to stop spamming on my live stream. What were they spamming? The brisket song. Every year, every month, there is something new that kids latch onto and they go into people's lives and they spam it.
So a recent driver being reminded about everything that happened is because she was getting spammed on a live with the brisket song by one person that apparently she couldn't block for some reason, even though she says that she blocks like she blinks. And now because she's acted out, this is why all the hate's come back. It's why all of it's come back. It's nothing to do with ignoring it for ages, is it? Honestly, if I had this sort of thought process, life would go across a lot easier.
We were having a really nice conversation and I couldn't catch the comments that were asking me genuine questions because of it. So I said, stop spamming. And here's what's happened. They have taken my content, my profile picture, my likeness, and they're turning it into content designed to upset me, designed to bully me, designed to dehumanize and degrade me. And they say that I deserve every single bit of this because I told somebody to stop spamming the conversation in my live stream.
And obviously, you can't agree with this stuff, really. You can't agree with people creating accounts apparently in my likeness. No, not in your likeness. Like, how is Billy 333 gonna be in your likeness at all? Doing Stitch videos, just taking the piss, really. And I don't agree with the people doing this purely because of telling people to stop spamming, like crying about it. But also, one, this is exactly what people are going to do if you go on the offensive. And also, considering she said that she doesn't want discussion, she doesn't like discussion, so she's on a TikTok live discussing things, having a good conversation. Well, what? That's a little bit counterintuitive, don't you think? But it also seems like this kind of hate is the only thing that is actually, like, getting to her somewhat. It's the only thing that's bringing people towards her. So for her to be calling it out as well, it's just going to make it 10 times worse for her. I don't condone any of this. What she did was wrong, and also the way that she acts is wrong as well, but there's no need for this kind of hate.
In a subsequent live, I acknowledged the trolls. My bad. I acknowledged that they existed.
Well, aren't you doing that now? These people only want to get at you, so when you're proving that they are getting to you, it's only going one way, innit?
But somebody in that live stream, I believe, genuinely asked about my religious affiliations, to which I told them I'm atheist. Of course, the response that I got from dozens of those trolls was, "Find Jesus, I'll pray for you," or "You need God in your life." And I did respond because I'm allowed to on my own page.
Yeah, the best thing that you can do in this situation, if someone is telling you to find Jesus as a joke to get your attention, is to go on a massive rant about being an atheist and how good it is. They don't want your answer, you're feeding into it, and it only gets worse.
All religions, literally all of them, operate with the perception that the world is on some kind of vertical moral hierarchy, where you're doing tasks or jobs or ministering or outreaching to try to achieve your own sense of moral high ground. But the reality is that we are on a horizontal morality spectrum, because I have fucked up and they have fucked up and you have fucked up. We have all fucked up. We've all done good and we've all done bad.
But then if we've all done bad, why do you not accept any form of criticism or discussion of your points of what you say in your videos, which are at this point just as bad, and they're getting worse? Because as I'll show you, she's also covered multiple things which really make your head scratch in the future as well. But it's like, it's not relevant, is it? What's a God rant got to do with this? What has it got to do with it? And also, what does the reality of like religion, what does that have to do with it as well? They weren't saying that you were morally below them. They were just saying that you just need to find God. And it's her reactions that make everything worse around her. You can't say that everyone's on a level peg when you are on that higher peg, can you?
But the hate pages kept hating, the hate comments kept coming, and unironically, at least half of them have a Bible verse or a reference to Jesus or God in their bio.
So, are people not allowed to enjoy religion? I've just noticed as well as how she's said that everyone's gone from being children to religious that are attacking her now. So, that's the new one, isn't it? And then finally, she gets on to the past of what she's covered.
And it continued to spiral from there. What I found really interesting, I posted a skit almost 2 years ago now at the behest of a trans person who wanted someone to bring to light the violence that trans people have to put up with, specifically in religious spaces. And I did that.
And I think the argument is there are plenty of ways that you can explicitly show and get people to understand that there are these problems that happen specifically in these spaces without doing a POV of someone getting SA'd, yet alone a trans child. I think it's batshit crazy, to be honest. I can't believe someone would do that. And it doesn't really highlight the thing at all. All it does is, if anything, make a bit of a mockery out of it because you're pretending to have this happen to you. Especially with something like trans issues, which are very much on the social media and just in general dogged on quite a lot in different spaces. Doing something when a trans child is getting SA'd, I don't understand the optics of what she's going for.
And one part of it started with a full 30 seconds of me giving the trigger warnings, the content warnings, the "this is not for kids" PSA.
And still, I don't think this is right. Just because you have done this, it doesn't mean that any of the situations that you covered or went through in the manner that you did is right at all. When it's such a serious topic, doing it in the manner that she did was just stupid. No matter the amount of warnings that you put on there. Yeah, fair enough, you put warnings there, but no, just think about it for a second.
I was then informed by a parent at the school I work at that her own son and his friends had taken that video and were sending it to all of their friends and trying to get me fired. That video has not been on my page for over a year.
Oh, so then it's right, innit? It's right then. You still did it, didn't you? And I would be in a position to accept like an apology for what she's done, but that is the issue. She hasn't apologized for it. She's having a go at some kids in her school that she works at, sharing this video around and finding it so insensitive. How could they ever find something like that so insensitive? I won't lie, if I was in school, my teacher did that, I would share it around because why? Why would you even think about doing something like that? But now she's having a go at the camera like it's everyone else's fault. It's just big victim blaming. Like, it's not me, it's all of you.
But somehow it's being recirculated again, and I am being called all manner of evil things. So if that mom is still on my page, you might want to go talk to your son again, because clearly he saved that video and is part of this process.
The process of showing people what you have done. Like, what? The argument is, oh, it's not a kid's page, but you work with kids, so you should maybe think about what you post on the internet if you work with kids, especially when all of your social media presence seems to involve children going through childish stuff. As I'll show you, there's so many other scenarios which are just so weird, so for her to think and try and blame it on the kids for sharing this when she's put it on social media is actually dumbfoundingly stupid to me. And because people are sharing it now, and it's been over a year, she's been caught out. Apparently, that's everyone else's fault, not hers.
But oh, it doesn't even end there. Because here are some of the messages that I have recently gotten. Now, mind you, this is just a small sample of the messages that I have gotten somehow since turning my DMs completely off. But I'm sensitive, right? I'm sensitive. I don't know what this has got to do with the sensitivity of your actions, that it's not really relevant. And also, I can understand the negativity of the hate comments. Some of them are horrible that have been posted to you. And obviously that's not right. But it's once again the idea that by having these problems, it ignores everything that you've done and what's led you up to this point. I disagree with people doing this, but I do think what she has done is too far, and the way that she acted around it and all the responses, and even up to this point, she's not even apologized to it. It's just everyone else's problem. That is the problem. A simple sorry and move on could have actually, got rid of all of this, but instead she's gone down into a spiral where she's doing stuff like this now. And this has led to a massive hate mob on her, to a point where apparently there was someone that was arrested, and there was a home invasion, and for some reason a lot of people thought it was Mama Owl, so there's YouTube videos on this so-called arrest because of the terrible things she's done. And she's not done anything illegal, she's just done something that's very insensitive and stupid, which I will just confirm as well, this turned out to be a hoax. There was no arrest going on there. But what does shock me is that from this problem where she was restricting all the comments and she was going back at the haters, and after a while she just started uploading again normal stuff, with the brand deals and stuff in between as well, which I guess, go on, get your bag, no one's gonna hit you for that, but maybe you should not say that it's not about any of the traction that you get from your socials. But her content that she's been doing, although it does seem to be somewhat softened, and she's not doing anything reenacting pulling down the pants of someone as they're about to do it, she's still doing, in my opinion, some very insensitive and very weird things, because she's still delving into a lot of these topics from the face and idea as a child that is going through this. And the first example I have here of this newer stuff is cliffhangering a sexual interaction between children, where a girl is getting harassed, and yeah, what? I'll just show you a quick clip of it now, but what?
Addie, so it's been a couple of days with Chase. Is it perfect? It kind of is. He even put his arm around me on the bus this morning, which we're not supposed to, but it was perfect. It kind of was. I gotta get to class though. Me too, but tell me everything later. Oh, you know I will. When I put my arm around you this morning, I felt your... imagined.
What? The weirdest one for me is that she's cliffhangered it, so she's done this hyper-sexualized sort of message afterwards between two children, mind you, two children, and she's left us with a cliffhanger like it's some sort of shit reality TV show. And I do get the point of what she's doing with this, in that it's meant to be with the hypersexualized nature of things, which we have also covered on the channel previously. It's something that's mutual, it's something that needs to be consensual both ways, really. But for her to cliffhanger it when it is in reality actual children that she's reenacting this scenario, she's pretending to be a child here, it just freaks me out, and it just seems so weird. There's definitely other ways that you can get through handling these sort of topics, instead of just being a really crap drama. And then also specifically like in this one, not adding like any context, any like reasonings behind it. It's just it's just that. And this is a bit of a series for her as well, where she's had like multiple parts to it, and it's all around the premise of this lad that is just being hypersexualized in what he's saying around her, and her not being comfortable with it. And you can really do this differently, even though it's not in as close egregious to levels like the initial clip that I showed you where she had this actual backlash. I think there's so many more like pragmatic ways that you can discuss these sort of issues that are in our society without doing a POV reaction in some sort of terrible drama. It's just not right. And it does sit so wrong with me, especially when it's about kids. Like, you see the locker rooms, you see this sort of thing. Like, why would you do it as a child? I know you're going through someone else's story, but you're still, like, reenacting this as a child. And she does always make sure to put the trigger warnings on there, but that just won't do it justice with how weird it all is. As I said, most of her stuff does revolve around schools, and there's this other example that she did a couple of weeks ago where she is pretending that there is a school shooter. You know that really tragic thing that does happen in America a lot? Yes, she's done a POV reenactment of what it is like when there is an intruder in your school. Once again, it's a multi-part series, so you got to absolutely love it. And please, someone tell me, this is just so weird to be doing on TikTok, right?
I don't even know if I...
Attention staff, look down now.
Is that for real? I don't even know what to do. What do I do? You're gonna lock the door. I don't have a key. They didn't give you a key? We have to hide. Where do we hide? Supposed to go in the science closet. Come on. Everybody over here. It's locked. What do we do now? Everybody get behind the tables. Turn them over. Get behind the tables now. Miss McKay, are you coming back here with us?
I don't think I've even got words to describe how weird this is. I also understand, right, in conventional media, we go through this sort of stuff. You see things like this all the time. You see stuff like this in a lot of films, movies, everywhere. But you have to ask what the message is of doing this on TikTok when you're pretending to be multiple people in a POV scenario of an intruder being in a school. Like, I'm sure in America there are quite a few adults that have gone through this scenario, and I don't think they want to see this on their timeline, even though you put a trigger warning. But also, what is the objective? What is it that you are aiming with doing this content to achieve? Because it doesn't really seem like there's anything like that is worth achieving here. Like pretending to hide under tables like you're doing here. What is the method? What's the reasoning? You're not really bringing to light the sort of problems that go on like in schools in America. You're just highlighting a scenario and pretending that it's happened. There's no educational nuance to this. It doesn't really help anyone. And it feels really weird to be doing this on TikTok, to be honest. It's not a discussion. She's not going anywhere with it. It just stinks. She's also done true life stories about herself when she was younger, and it also does kind of explain potentially why she wants to go down these avenues of trying to educate and teach people by reliving stories, because in this scenario, she's talking about herself as a child, which again is weird because it's of a domestic case, which really, really does just add another layer of spice, doesn't it, to the already ruined cake that this is.
Handed for my family. Well, maybe if you contributed a little bit. I work my ass off for this family. So do I.
Would you come back here, please?
It's just not the right thing to be putting on TikTok. If you're reliving trauma, there is ways to do it, and in my opinion, pretending that your mum is getting hit is not really... It's not really the I'm so sorry when she was younger she had to go through this. I'm sorry that this kind of thing does happen a lot, and it is something that does need to be brought to the attention of people, but not in the way that she's doing it. All I'm saying, on TikTok, I'm used to seeing people like POV, you're a hamster that's passed away. That's the kind of stuff that I see on TikTok. I don't really see this sort of stuff. And whether it's your story or another person's story, you are still reenacting, like, as a child, hearing, like, your parents get hit and then going through it yourself. Like, this doesn't help adults, like, go for it. People who have gone through this stuff understand it. And you sat in your room making noises that you want to sound like your mum getting hit. And, like, where is the method? Where, what? For me, this type of thing is just a total head scratcher because I cannot understand it in the slightest. I don't understand who wants to actually genuinely watch this video. I don't understand how this helps anyone in any way to process trauma or discuss it. Yeah, at the end of her videos, after, well, in quite a few of them, there's like a big section where she will go and explain about the situation. But I don't think by putting that section at the start, it's even remotely needed to spread awareness and to explain things. I don't think at all I'm going to get anything from seeing you pretend to do things like this. So what are we getting at? She's also definitely not learned from her mistakes because she has yet again done another one here, which I won't show, of another essay whilst in a classroom. This was posted literally 9 days ago. So this is brand new stuff. So she hasn't learned from her mistakes at all. And it's also even weirder that she's still doing this now when she still works in a school. It's just missing the mark, in my opinion, with this sort of thing. I think it needs to be treated with respect and also with a certain kind of nuance which isn't conducive to doing a reenactment as a POV TikTok for no reason whatsoever. There is nothing to add by these videos with this being here. It's not like a high budget act which really does like explain the sort of little nuances of what goes on in these situations. You're just doing it like on the whim, and it's weird. And once again, it's another experience of an essay for a child. It really does show that she doesn't really remotely care about what potentially could be perceived as something wrong because she thinks that she's in the right. So she's going to keep doing what she does and we should just sit back and watch it. Remember, we shouldn't even be discussing. She's not asked for discussion around these conversations. And that's what makes all the hate even more poignant. She wants to do this as some sort of like highlight of these issues and stories that go on, but then she doesn't want any discussion around the stories, around help around these situations. Why would you do these sort of things even if you don't want any sort of like nuanced discussion about it? It's just so backwards the way that she goes about it. One thing I did see that potentially like tipped the scales on a personal level from me is with ableism, where she's going through like another school scenario where there's a kid with ADHD like clicking his pen and the teacher is just belittling them. I wasn't diagnosed whilst I was at school, but I went through these problems myself, and if anything it was more amplified because I was undiagnosed throughout the entirety of my school and university life. Apparently this is also something that she has gone through herself, and maybe that's what I'm seeing from it. Maybe it is somewhat a relatability standpoint for a lot of these things for people that have experienced these sort of issues, and I'm sure that's what she's going for, but I just feel the tact of how she's doing it is so wrong, especially when she explicitly goes out and says that she doesn't want people to give her any sort of like critique or anything on what she is doing. I feel like it's more of a vent to herself. She wants to act out these scenarios to bring some sort of light to it, but I think this only brings weirdness, especially when you incorporate that the majority of what she does is around school kids and around children. I don't think this is right, especially when she's meant to be safeguarding for children herself. What she did initially with that initial essay with the trans kid is so wrong. I find that disgusting. But what I found equally as disgusting was the way that she just tried to silence everyone, and then she's also never actually admitted that she was wrong in what she was doing. She's just kept uploading these new TikTok pods, still doing similar stuff, but also turning it down just a tiny bit to get over it. But you're still doing these very vulnerable POV scenarios with children as like a sort of entertainment factor on TikTok, and I just find that really, really odd. I just wish you would see her wrongdoings, but I don't expect to see that anytime soon from her. But what do you lot think? Please do let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the vid, of course, hit the like button and subscribe. I would love to see you back. Got a lot more coming up until the end of the year, so it would really help to see you sub and have you around for that. But I've been Jake Baz, and I will see you later. Take care.